Come to you, Mr. Prakash. I think you've been as in a startup, this is something you've been in thick, and you have dealt both in terms of as a startup building an IP as well as taking this IP to large enterprise. Now when it comes to especially hardware based or that core tech based IPs, the two ways where a startup typically will do. Either they will license out their core IP and they will have people taking up just the license of the core and build their solutions, or they would rather build a complete full stack business solution or technical solution, take it there. So when these choices come in where you could build an IP and then just license the IP versus build the entire solution, how should a startup look at it? How they should go about thinking about it?
Sure. So just to give a little background on the company, and then I'll answer your question. We are kind of a very unique startup. When I started it in 2007, the security space was really getting momentum, especially at the content and the file security. As you know, billions of files move around. Gone are the days you use only email for the purpose of exchanging files. Today there are multiple different means, cloud storage, chat, etc. So we found an opportunity in that space, started the company in that space, and we looked at the existing solution. Very clearly, there was a gap. There are best protocols, guidelines, and what to do, what not to do when it comes to encryption and decryption, but they were not sufficient to protect the files that are exchanged, the security aspect of it. So the company was formed with the idea that we will go build solutions for securing content. And it is a little off for an Indian startup to get into fundamental research and get into a space of fighting the existing protocols, etc. But we did that. For 3 years we went in, we did the fundamental research. We built a lot of IP. So the lot of conversation went on here in terms of how do you file patent and what is the benefit of it, etc., etc. So let me tell you something. If you're in the startup space, very early on, the patents means nothing. Actually, it has no value at all. But as you grow and as you're able to demonstrate that you have a very unique value proposition, and for you to really go out there, get the investors, get the employees, get the customers, etc., especially being in a very sensitive areas like security, being in India, you got to be able to demonstrate that you are unique. And that's when the IP value comes into the picture. So we filed a total of 8 patents, and 5 were granted today. 1 more is pending, and we decided to abandon the other 2 of it. And the value of it, we came to realize towards the end of the journey in our company. Coming back to the question of, should you license it or should you build a solutions out of it? I think that depends on, everyone's position in terms of which industry they are in and stage of the company, etc. If you decide to just sit on the patent, the IP part of it, and you don't want to actually build a solution out, obviously, you find many vendors where the IP is useful to them, and then you get into the conversation of licensing and commercialization. As opposed to what we did, we said, as a startup, we need to build the value of the solution that we are building, and that needs to be backed by our own IP, and we continue to build the value of the company for the solutions that we were providing. And we can talk more about, what we did as we go along.
So, Dr. Mishra, sorry, you had to add something?
Yeah, can I just add something? So one of the things that, Intellectual Ventures is a unique company. I don't think there's any company like that which is acquiring patents, also developing in-house patents through partnership and so on. So one of the things we do is, when you have a startup, they're already cash strapped. So if you have a patent which you want to file in the US, okay, the 2 things you want to do, you want to file a patent which is foolproof, and totally protected. And if you do that, you have to hire good patent lawyers. And added to all those costs, it will cost you anywhere from $60,000, $70,000 to $100,000. You're already cash strapped. You don't know what to do. Okay. What we offer is that entrepreneurs, startup people, they can use us to write the patent. So we'll bear the cost of the patenting. then we'll also take the rights to license, but with a little caveat that we will sell it, technically give it back to the inventor for $1. Basically, if the inventor has so much faith in his patent and starts a company, then that adds value to the patent. So we allow the inventor of a startup to keep practicing it for nothing. Basically, $1 is to make sure that it's licensed back for $1. Now, if the company gets acquired, like supposing we had patents of Prakash's company, and then it gets acquired by Cisco, then we'll through an agreement, we'll take a cut of it. Okay? Because if we sell the company for, let's say, $20, $100 million, whatever, then we have invested in the patent writing. Then we will. So it's a very nice model for startups. As long as they are practicing it and they're not acquired, they can keep on practicing it. We will have some revenue sharing mechanism in terms of sales and all that business.
So I'll continue the same conversation, Dr. Mishra, with you on that note. Today, another thing we are realizing that with so much of democratization of ability of people to create technical solutions, the costs are coming down, technologies are much more available. One side impact, though, there is that the patents or the IPs that are coming out, they are smaller IPs. They are fragmented. And what you realize that maybe a startup has built an IP that, and many of us probably can relate to that by itself has a standalone IP. Maybe commercialization is too difficult, right? So in India, with that kind of situation, how much feasibility do you see that startups can look at IP alliance? We're saying, okay, I rather create a pool of IP with other startups and look for commercialization.
So I suggest you read this book. Okay, because it addresses that problem. See, in a cell phone that you're carrying or an iPad equivalent device, the number of patents in that is anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000, something of that order. And it's all pulled together. So therefore, several startups may have patents which can be pulled together, and all of the people can then share the IP.
But practically, do you see in a startup ecosystem today,
Yeah, it can be easily done.
We don't see too many cases. I mean, people file patent, they keep their IP, and then look for standalone, either an exit or look for just next round funding. That we don't see too many activities happening around startups kind of creating a stronger.
The startup people should say, because I'm not in the startup business, but protection of an IP of a startup, as was mentioned earlier in the previous discussion, is absolutely imperative. Because otherwise it can be easily gobbled up by, like a computer was gobbled up, you know.
Right. Prakash, you want to add to that from a startup perspective? How would you like to see?
So, yeah, and Dr. Mishra is right. You know, if you have a one-off idea and if you patent it, it becomes really, really tough to get royalty or licensing out of that one single patent. In our case, what we did is we had a core patent, and then we built multiple patents around it. So essentially, you know, we created a portfolio of patents that depends on each other, right? And it provides two things. One is, you know, if you have a one-off idea, it is very easy to copy it. You know, you may be doing it differently. You can add, you know, a few more things to it or subtract to it, and then you can say your idea is a novel idea. But if you have a portfolio of patents which are interconnected and which are dependent on each other, then you have a solid core, and then, you know, patents around it, then it becomes much more valuable than having a single one-off idea.
Makes sense.
And if two startups get together, it's the power of unity.
No, definitely. I mean, this is a problem that at least we being an incubator, and we keep struggling with that we find within a week we'll see 10 startups, and you'll find a lot of ideas there which can be combined together, but still each of them will be fighting their battle individually. So I totally agree with that. I think this is what we like to see. While startup idea combining is one part, but definitely IP, I think that as creating a powerful pool will be important for going forward.
Like yourself would have a role to play to bring people together, and
absolutely,
people like us can actually help them bring together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So taking conversation to another level of difficulty that with the whole patent filing with...
Can I add on to
yes,
this?
please, sir. Please go ahead.
So, like, it's a whole idea about the patent pooling of startups, what all of us have been talking about. This has been quite successful right from the aviation industry doing it, and the MP3s and the MPEZs. And talked about the mobile technology. One of the very important aspect we talk about ESDM manufacturing, electronic manufacturing. The biggest challenge that we are facing, Dr. Murthy also talked about it in the earlier session, is about the standard essential patents. The whole mobile manufacturing, Indian manufacturing community is facing a challenge and is being litigated across in most of the Indian courts. And there might be huge challenges with regard to the royalties that these companies might have to pay. And they will become unsustainable if these royalties are actually decided upon. Now, why is this scenario so? This scenario is because of the reason that in other countries, these companies survive because of cross-licensing of standards or patents. We in India do not own standards as of date. We are not actually proactively looking at participating actively in standard setting processes or organizations. If we are talking about pooling, it will be a great idea if all these tech startups join together proactively and aggressively try to incorporate Indian patents as part of global standards. We have missed the bus on the electronic standards, mobile standards. We might have missed. IoT is a very virgin area as far as standards are concerned. Many of the tech startups might be in this area. It will be a great idea if organizations like ISA or someone brings them together on a same platform and they start aggressively looking at acquiring standards, and that will be the great way in which commercialization ventures will be successful. Thank you.
That's right. So I'll continue with you, sir. One part that you talk about in terms of setting the standards where industry and the tech community has to come together. But another thing that we are also looked at, I think it's been there, Mr. Murthy talked about it, and we have seen the uptake of R&D and uptake of these IPs into the industry, that is not as successful that we have seen, right? There's the amount of money that gets spent in these institutions, R&D organizations, they are innovating, they are creating new things. But when it comes to the industry actually taking those innovations, we are still lagging behind. So that is the one area, unless the industry actually picks up these innovations, these IP, and then puts into the commercialization on the larger industrial base, it's a challenge. Now,
I have got a very revolutionary idea about this, is that there have been many technology transfer or academia industry linkages talked about, and who better than Professor Mishra will be knowing it. People talk about R&D, public funded R&D being done in billions of dollars being spent on it, does not being realized as commercial successes. The technology transfers. There are people, I am part of that ecosystem, so people talk about Fraunhofer models, people talk about how the NASA has been successfully able to do it. There have been talks about a similar act like the Bayh-Dole Act in India, where the public funded IP will be owned by the institute itself, which is being done today. But all this has not led to success. My basic idea is that unless and until the researcher himself is an entrepreneur, the success rate of technology transfers will be low. Unless and until we create models in which the faculties or the research organizations allow their researchers to be entrepreneurs, incentivize them to do so, don't allow them in their as a part of their agreement with the company or the organization as such, it will not succeed. Not only it has to be done by the government or the public institutions, even the private institutions or the big companies, IT companies, which have become very big but do not have the capacity to create an IP or convert it into commercial results, also have to look at how does the employees of breakaway into startups, support them and create opportunities for them. That's the solution I look at it. I can't find solutions why there is an academia industry link is not there? What are the reasons committees keep coming, going, and nothing happens?